online. I'll read the land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that we are the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. We wish to recognize the long history of Indigenous people of Canada and show our respect for them today. We realize their stewardship of the land. May we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship. Okay, I will call for a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Moved by Bill. Robert. All in favor? Carry. Anyone have any disclosure of a pecuniary interest for the general nature of this evening? Seeing none. Okay, could we have a motion to adopt and sign the minutes as circulated? Brad? Bill? All in favor of that motion? Carried. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none. Statement of precedent for this evening. Any decision reached by this committee tonight cannot be used to set a precedent. We'll move on to new business. We have an application for a minor variance, file number A15, 2022, Gwendolyn Holsteins, part lot 7 and lot 8, concession 16, Elma Ward, municipality of North Perth. I think we have the planning department online. Could you give a description of this application, please?
Hello there. Hi, this is Luisa Vacondio speaking, the planner for this file. As a summary, the applicants have a dairy operation located on lot 14, concession 16, municipality of North Perth, and are proposing to construct an off-site manure storage on the subject property, part lot 7 and lot 8, concession 16, municipally addressed as 6399 line 60. Purpose of this application is to seek variances to permit a reduction of the MDS2 setbacks for the proposed manure storage from the residence at 6426 line 60 and the road allowance line 60. The manure storage tank is proposed to be built in an area of the farm lot which contains an existing building cluster and trees rather than on the open agricultural field, which will help screen the facility from view and can help mitigate potential impacts due to the trees that exist there. More importantly, the proposed location will not remove existing farmland from agricultural production. So based on the materials provided by the applicant and the evaluation of the variance against the 4 tests of a minor variance, as defined in section 45(1) of the Planning Act, county staff are recommending approval of this minor variance subject to the conditions as identified in the staff report. I can take you through just a brief evaluation of the 4 tests of the minor variance and as it relates to this application. So the first test is with regards to whether the proposed variance meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The subject property is designated agriculture in the county official plan, manure storage tank being a permitted use in this designation. The official plan policies state that variances to the minimum distance separation can be permitted where they're considered to be minor in nature. A proposed off-site manure storage tank is intended to, the proposed off-site manure storage tank is intended to store the manure from the applicant's dairy operation further down line 60, and for the manure to be applied to the farm's part lot 7 and lot 8, concession 16 of the subject property, as well as the lot on the other side of line 60, 6388 line 60. The proposed manure storage facility supports and promotes the applicant's agricultural operation and normal farming practices. This manure storage tank is proposed to be constructed adjacent to an existing building cluster, as previously mentioned, with the house being proposed to be demolished in order to avoid the need to remove any of the surrounding farmland out of agricultural production. As previously noted, by locating the manure storage tank at that location with the existing building cluster, the facility will be surrounded by trees, which will help mitigate any potential odor impacts. As such, we maintain that the proposed variances meet the general intent of the official plan. The second test evaluates whether it meets the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. Subject property is zoned agriculture in the North Perth zoning bylaw. Livestock facilities, which includes manure storage tanks, are permitted use in this zone. Section 641 of the zoning bylaw requires that livestock facilities comply with minimum distance separation formula, MDS. However, MDS guideline number 43 specifically states that reductions to the required MDS can be considered in limited site-specific circumstances, as long as these reductions can be considered, these reductions can be considered through a minor variance to the local zoning bylaw. The proposed location of the manure storage tank will limit adverse impacts to the surrounding lands and won't remove any land from agricultural production, and thus maintains the intent of the zoning bylaw. Third test evaluates whether it is minor. Planning staff have considered the context of the proposed development in determining whether the variances requested are minor. The applicant is proposing to construct a manure storage tank adjacent to an existing building cluster in order to avoid the need to remove any existing agricultural land from production. Furthermore, the facility being located within that building cluster, it will be surrounded by trees, as previously noted. Planning staff is satisfied that both variances are considered to be minor under this context. The last test evaluates whether the variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development or use of the lands. The intent of MDS is to minimize nuisance complaints associated with livestock facilities due to odor and to reduce land use conflicts. MDS guideline number 43 specifically recognizes that reductions can be considered and can be appropriate in some circumstances and should be evaluated in the context of the surrounding land use, environmental considerations, safety, or practicality. Proposed manure storage tank is an agricultural area and is proposed to be constructed on a lot with only a farm implement shed as the house is to be demolished. Majority of the adjacent lots are used for cash cropping, and the residence to the northwest, to which one of the variances is being requested, is for a residence that's accessory to a former farm operation. Based on this context and rationale provided, the MDS to reduction is considered appropriate, as it will result in the construction of a manure storage facility, which supports and promotes the applicant's agricultural operation and normal farming practices. So that's a general summary of the application and how the four tests apply to it. Public comments, with regards to public comments, I'm aware of one individual who has requested to attend the meeting and who is present, though no public written comments have been received at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition to the application? And I request that they give their name and address for the record when they are recognized. Hearing none? Oh, okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm Julie Eamon. I own a property immediately to the east of the property in question. And then immediately again to the east, there is a property that is owned by the Portena family. I don't know who owns it, but it belongs to the Portena family. On that farm is a manure storage tank. So I wrote a letter on the 19th to Mr. Potniewicz, and I never received a reply. I had hoped to get a reply for minimum distance, because at the time on my farm there was a house and there was a 400-meter minimum distance applied. There's 400-meter minimum distance from where the house used to be and the manure storage tank on the farm immediately to the east of me. Now, if the Portena family is going to build a manure storage tank on the property immediately west to me, and there is the same 400-meter minimum distance, that means I cannot build anything on my farm. and I don't think that is right. We demolished a house several years ago, a 100-year-old house, and we have planned. My family consists of 14 members, of which 9 live on a dairy and a cash crop farm. So my family is expanding in farming, and I should have the right that we can build at least a house and a small shed on that property for my family. So I asked Mr. Potniewicz if he could give me any minimum distance. Maybe it has changed. Maybe there is a rule for minimum distance for manure tanks from houses, but not houses from manure tanks. And I didn't get an answer, so I don't know if council can give me an answer on that, because I would like to have a house built on that property in the future for either myself or my family members.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ed?
Just a comment. I never did receive any correspondence from Mrs. Beamond.
Oh well, I sent it. I have a printout. I sent it on the 19th of May at 1:02 in the afternoon
Okay.
to Ed Ponowitz at nordperth.ca.
Okay,
And I
good.
asked for a confirmation, and I did not receive a confirmation.
I never did receive an email to that effect, unless it went to my junk mail.
Well, yeah, that is not up to me, right? That's up to you.
No, I apologize for that. I never received one. I was expecting one because you referred to it in your other email that you sent.
Yeah. So, if you have your computer there, you can maybe pull it up, or
No, I
I can read the letter if you want me to.
Yes, that'd be good.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. May 19. I received this letter dated May 13 on May 18 at 6 p.m. in the mail, leaving 3 days to prepare for May 24 meeting. In this letter, I have a request for information that is related to an application. This information is needed in order to prepare for the May 24 meeting. I have questions regarding past and present minimum distances from other properties towards mine, being lot 9, line 60. For your information, there is a manure pit on lot 10, owned by Portena and inactive for many years, and just last week cleaned out, where I presume there is a minimum distance requirement towards my property on lot 9. There is an application A15-2022 Portena for a manure storage on lot 8 with a minimum distance request of 358 meters. At this moment, I would like to know where does that leave my property lot 9 as far as a building lot. It is a reasonable request to any rural municipality that anyone should be able to retain an area on the farm to build on. We need to have available for future a house and a shed for my family. No further from the road than 75 meters and at least 65 meters distance from the corner of the ditch by the road up front. Where will the future building lot for me be in this application? And how will it affect the value of the farm if denied? If there is a building lot, can you map out areas that will be left to build on? If not, then the manure storage will have to be placed further away, which by my measurement is possible to satisfy both parties. Because that's how it should be dealt with, to please both parties, not just one. I need this information in order to inform my council as soon as possible and have proper time to prepare the response during the hearing to the Committee of Adjustments on May 24. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Julie Eamond, President, Eamond Holsteins Limited.
Thank you. Could we have a comment from the planning department on this as far as the setbacks concerned?
Hello, through the chair. I will say that it is difficult to identify exactly where the adjacent property would be able to construct at this time. Perhaps, I don't know, maybe perhaps Susanna Reed, I know the senior planner is on the line as well. Perhaps she can weigh in on that.
Yeah, sure, certainly. Yeah, I appreciate Julie Eamon's comments, and I'm just looking at an air photo of the area, and I'm estimating where the setback would be on the neighboring property to the east. And I don't have the calculated setback from the Portena farm, which I understand is to the west. Sorry, the east. So if I understand, Julie, your farm it has a Portena farm on either side.
Yes, yes.
And
That's
what
correct.
you're offering is that there's a manure storage existing to the east.
Yeah,
And
to the east.
that
Yeah.
MDS buffer, as well as the MDS buffer that's proposed, will establish, reduces the area where you could build a house on
Yeah.
your farm.
Yeah, but what I did was I opened up Google Earth and I measured. So I measured from the existing manure storage on the corner farm to the east, and that crosses the measurement from the new proposed manure storage. It crosses it through my farm, so that means there is nowhere except maybe at the end of the 900 meters in or something like that, or 800 meters in. Yeah, so it doesn't leave any. So something has to change in the, so that I have a building parcel. That would be fair. That would be fair, I think. If I have a building parcel where I can build a house and a shed, then I'm satisfied.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that
I don't know because it will. If I cannot build anything on that farm, well, the value is going to be reduced of that place. That's simple. Yeah.
Yeah, so if I understand, it seems unfortunate that we didn't notice your email, because we were looking for more information about what it was, what you wanted to bring to the meeting tonight. So we could have done this background work beforehand. And I also, I think Jeff Bannerman is on the call, and Mike Portena as well. So we would look forward to their comments. I mean, and also, Ed, would you be able to tell us when the next Committee of Adjustment meeting is?
It would be the fourth Tuesday in June.
Okay. Is it possible to meet sooner than that?
Yes, yeah, subject to having the committee agree to a date.
What we could do is defer the application tonight so that the committee could have more information about how the MDS buffers on the properties on either side of the Eamon farm are affecting the building envelope on the Eamon farm at the committee's direction. Alternatively, the planning department is offering comments with regards to the application that has been considered with regards to a request reduction to the Hostetter farm.
Yeah, I realize that, yeah.
And as there is an existing residence there.
Yeah.
So the obligations of the municipality are to consider the nutrient management, or the setback from the manure storage, the MDS setback from the proposed manure storage to any existing residence. So the zoning bylaw doesn't establish a requirement for recognizing or ensuring that there is a building envelope on the Eamon farm. So I hope that those comments help the committee.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Through the chair, what I would suggest is to give Jeff Bannerman from CropQuest an opportunity to speak.
Yes.
He may clarify some items.
Yes, Jeff, if you're online, could we hear from you, please?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, the property in question there, unfortunately for Mrs. Eamon, There's no buildings on that property anymore, so
No.
there's
So,
no requirement then to have any setback to your property. And if we had applied for the just outside of this proposed minor variance to move it, you wouldn't even have had notice of this, Julie. With the building permit would have been let and construction would have happened, because the setback is to any existings. There's no requirement to
No,
preserve any
no.
existing lot. If I'm understood there, so it's basically a first come first serve in that approach. So if your building had been there, then of course Portena's would have to set back from that, but
But
not the case.
not to interrupt you, but we can also not demolish buildings and have a terrible looking township. If in order to save your building lot, I could have left a burned out house there. You know, it looked awful. Or Mike can leave the Bailey house there, or Rick Portena can leave the Having house there. It will just make the township look awful, but you keep your building site. So I don't know if the council and if the township municipality wants to go that route, because then people will make sure that the foundations will stay. And well, there you go, it's a beautiful township. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, Julie, that's the way the things are written. So
Yeah.
You have to, if you want to preserve that building location, you have to leave the old house there in order to protect your building envelope on the existing property. So.
But that doesn't answer my question regarding, okay, there is a minimum distance from a manure storage, proposed manure storage to an existing house. But are there any rules for a new house to be minimum distance from a manure pit? That's a different story.
Yes,
because then it is up to me to accept that.
Yes.
To accept that distance, right? That's not up to the township to say, well, for safety or whatever. So, I mean, there should be rules and regulations according to that too. If I accept my lot print that is, for instance, 300 meters away from the closest manure pit, I wouldn't have any problems with that.
Yeah, there is.
Because I build it after that manure pit is already there. Because I mean, if we continue to make those strict rules, then it will be very hard for some people to expand the farming operations. Now we have a cash crop operations, and when we need houses for the families. I don't need. Well, I might need another shed. Might need houses in the future. I mean, my house is 127 years old. You know, if I live another 20 years, I need a new house too. So.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments on this property? We have anybody else online?
If I may say something yet, if Mr. Potniewicz, please can find the email and distribute it among the members, I will resend it, but it has been delivered, I know that. So that everybody is aware of my letter and the contents of it.
Well, it's unfortunate that we don't have it this evening, but those things do happen. Does the applicant agent have any other comments with respect to the application?
I didn't hear that.
Well, all I can add, we went to the Hostetler family and we discussed that we're going to build a tank. They had no problem. So there was no other house in between. So the best location to use a laneway, save the road, was this location. And then we wanted to have it a little closer to the Hostetler family and the road. for easier access, and they were okay with that. So we discussed it with Jeff Bannerman, and this is the proposal what we have. And otherwise, we just built out. If we don't get a minor variance, we're just going to build outside the line, and we can build.
Okay, thank you. Okay, questions from committee members? Yes, yes.
I'd like to see the paperwork, the application itself, so that I can.
I agree. I agree that we need more information.
You don't need any more.
Yes.
I don't know if this goes back to Suzanne or Andrew, but is it, I just wonder if it's appropriate if we should be asking, even though I guess the way that the ministry has put that document together, but whether or not it's fair to ask for separation circles to see how that would affect how much land is left on this property. That I hear what Jeff's saying, and I get some of the rules a little, but at the same time, I think it's silly to have a full farm that someone can't build a house on.
The sound quality is not very good, but if you'd like, I could provide further comments.
Sure, go ahead.
So I would just like to say that the committee has a recommendation for approval in Louisa's report. With regards to the Eamon farm, the planning department agrees with the comments offered by Jeff Bannerman, in that as there is no house on the Eamon farm, there is no requirement in the zoning bylaw to respect a setback. And it also would be possible for the planning department to do more work for the committee's request in order to show where there is a building envelope for residents on the Eamon farm, if you would like. And just to say, I can't hear you very well, but if you have any further questions, I'm happy to address them.
You hear me better now?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
So Bob, is it MS, is it 2 that is a house to a farm then? Or is it?
A house to a livestock facility is MDS 1. The requirement for the livestock facility or the manure storage is MDS 2.
Okay. So I guess I'm wondering whether or not we should see what it would look like if we had a house on the Eamon farm in the future. You know, what does that mean? Like would she just have to come in for a minor variance to put a house onto her farm, or is it, you know, when you, from what I know of that calculation, when you go house to a farm, the calculation's a little softer. Is that correct?
Would you like me to speak to that?
Sure, go ahead.
I know the answer.
So the setback from a livestock operation or a manure storage to a residence is referred to as an MDS2, and the setback from a residence to a livestock operation or manure storage is referred to as an MDS1. And then there is a type A and a type B MDS1 calculation. So a type A refers to a house in an agricultural area, which would be the case for a proposed house on the Julie Eamon farm. The concern I would have is that if, you know, while I've been suggesting that the committee might have the option of delaying, the concern is that the application is supported at this point by the planning department. You have a recommendation of approval. What we could do is bring back mapping in the future to show you where there would be a building envelope on the Eamon farm, but there is no requirement for, as there's no house on the Eamon farm, there's no requirement for the municipality to ensure that there is a building envelope on the Eamon farm.
Right.
Yeah, okay, I understand that. Yeah.
Yep, thank you very much.
Yeah, I would have hoped that would be open. That would be open.
Any other questions? Are we ready for a motion?
that I might hope that in the future there is consideration for that. And that it is not just put aside right now, but that it stays open.
Yeah, I motion to defer until we have a little bit more information. I guess I understand at the same time that, from what I understand, Mr. Portena may be able to move the farm, the storage tank slightly and still kind of achieve the same thing, but, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Brad. Do we have a seconder for that motion?
I'll do it.
Bill, seconder. All in favor? Carried. So we will look into setting up a meeting, Ed, as soon as possible.
We'll gather up the information that's requested, and I'll circulate. It sounds to me like they wanted to have a meeting sooner rather than later. So,
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the motion.
oh, sorry, the motion was to defer.
Okay.
Till we have more information that we can see exactly what the situation is.
And would it be possible to meet sooner? So I understand the Portenas have some urgencies to their proposal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not against their proposal. It's just, can I have a house built on my property? That's all.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is we'll gather the information and consult with the planner, and it may not hurt to have an MDS1 performed from the tank to see what the distance that would be, and we'll also show a tank in the location to meet the MDS without having to go through a minor variance, and see how that affects the property as well. I think that would probably be beneficial.
Yeah, we just have too many items that aren't clear here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would agree, like, the sooner we can have it, the better, because I kind of formed my understanding from Jeff, if they can move the tank slightly, they maybe don't have to go through this process, and then everybody's left in the same situation.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Is there any other business for this evening? Nothing else, Ed?
Nothing. Nope.
No? No correspondence?
Correspondence.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
No motion.
Bill? Second by Brad? All in favor? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. We will notify you of another date to hear this request.